Welcome to LaRocque Life Podcast, where we talk about relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all around real and raw conversations. I'm Mike LaRocque. I got my lovely wife Laura with me.
Hey guys.
Yeah, what are we talking about today, honey?
Well, today is actually Father's Day that we're
Yes.
recording this, right? It's going to release a few days later, but we've had some really interesting conversations today around Father's Day. And actually, I was just thinking as you were doing the intro, how our thing is about relationships, adventure, and freedom. Today was kind of an adventurous day.
It was,
for
yeah.
us, right? We were out checking out new territory and we found a waterfall and climbed up to that and just went to new places, which I mean, we've kind of been doing the whole time since we've been out here because everything is new. But I just felt like we really brought the adventure part today.
100%, right? right on the ridge or the edge of the river. Walking with our 3-year-old son, which probably shouldn't tell too many people that we're thrown in
No, it's fine. It was safe. We're
raging river, but it was good. Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
awesome.
really
It was
cool.
fun.
It was so neat to be there and just like feel like the coolness of it because I was up in the mountain and just we were like always being reminded of like the power of Mother Nature, right? Like
Yeah.
we think we're so big and strong and powerful, but like we got nothing on her.
No, that river is flowing. Like if you fell into it, it'd be like, I don't know
Yeah.
how you get out of that.
Yeah. And then I don't know, it's often too like in our heads, we get stuck in our own problems so deep. But then again, it's like there's just so much that's so much bigger than us. I don't know. That was kind of my few moments of reflection while sitting on the rock out there today.
It is. Everything's huge around you. We're in like a little valley kind of bed thing, and then a huge waterfall in front of you, and like you're just we're not
Tiny droplet.
we really are, right? And that thing could wash you out in a matter of seconds, and
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, it's crazy, eh? How nature
Yeah.
does that. It's a great reminder because sometimes, especially in this, like in a fast-paced life you're living or in the city, you forget all about that, how powerful the forces are that you don't have to deal with, right? Typically.
Yeah. And then I can go the other way as well, right? Where it's like, well, we are nature. Like we are a part of nature and she is powerful. So, I mean, we are powerful too, right? So
Yes.
use that for good instead of, dwelling in problems and dwelling on what we can't do. Instead, take that power and go for what we want, right?
Yeah, I say it all the time that we're animals, right? Like, and people forget that all the time. Like, we're just animals. We just happen to we just advance a little further in our thinking and our brains and our emotions. But I mean, when it comes down to it, we're mammals that are like trying to procreate and stay alive is all they're doing, right?
Yeah, and I was like, we were just talking about this, but I think you should tell this story because I think it's kind of funny because we were talking about being animals yesterday at coffee time on the deck, weren't we, as we watched all the dogs in this complex?
Right.
Because we moved into this complex knowing it was pet friendly, but not necessarily knowing that it was like the only pet friendly condo kind of in the area.
No, I feel like we live in that fucking movie Pets or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Like all it is all these dogs everywhere. It's wild.
They all congregate when the owners are gone and have a big party.
Yeah. And it's crazy
But-
because I'm not a real dog person. So
Yeah.
it's like
And that's the funny part, right? Because we're not dog people, but
No.
we find ourselves here. And I feel like, we obviously ended up coming here for a reason. But yeah, yesterday we were just watching people walk their dogs and pick up the shit in the grass. And we were like, why do people want to do that? Like we grew up on the farm with animals, right?
Yeah.
And then I just said to Mike, well, some people don't want kids and they like dogs, and some people don't like dogs and they like kids, and some people like both or don't like either. But you just made a point that our kid doesn't shit on the lawn and we don't have to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly, right? With a plastic bag on your hand.
Yeah, as we watch this couple do this. But at the same time, was it that same day then? Or was that last night we were talking about it? I don't know, either way, but kind of all within the same timeline. We were at a park and Lennox had to pee and there was nowhere to pee. So you took him behind a sign and peed. And you said an older couple was kind of looking at you with a bit of a dirty look.
Yeah, right. But yeah, like
But what's the difference between him and a dog?
exactly, right? And it just yeah, I think that is what the point was, wasn't it? They're just doing that, and I kind of give like a shrug or something, but like I don't know what you want me to do. Like kids
Like
got
he's 3.
yeah, kids got to piss, right? Like, so I don't know. It's weird, and like I say, people forget that. But at the same token, it's like I don't want a bunch of people pissing everywhere that you're hanging out in. But I mean, he's a little kid.
Well, it's not like you're just peeing on the playground.
No,
Like,
and you made
go
that point
off.
too. You're like, well, if he's an adult, then yeah, you're gonna ride this out. But it's not like we just jump in the truck and come home, because it's not gonna happen
He's
with a
not going to
3-year-old.
make it.
No.
No.
So yeah, no, exactly. And we're like, so yeah, we're just animals, and people forget that.
Yeah.
I forget that all the time, but I try to always tell. I always tell that story, or always tell that to people, that we're just happen to be a little more advanced than the next animal, but we're still just a bunch of animals.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we refer back to that a lot in our conversations with each other, just about like, you know, tribal stuff and feminine and masculine and all of that, which we won't dive into today, but I do feel like we were just talking about a masculine story the other day. I know it was really funny, but I can't think of what it is, so we won't dwell on that.
it'll come on.
Yeah, we'll share our little pockets of stories as we move on. But anyways, yeah, so today was Father's Day, and we found ourselves having some conversations around that. But I guess first I just wanted to say happy Father's Day to any of the dads that are listening, and hope that you did have a good weekend. And
Absolutely, yeah. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. It's not easy, and every situation looks different. Whether you're
right?
a stepfather, real father, live-in father, weekend father, who knows, right? Like,
Yeah.
at least you're there, and kids have something to look up to.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing. With that, I know you want to talk a bit about Father's Day, and today I caught myself even at times, like, it was awesome out there adventuring and stuff, but I just did not live up to the father that I want to be in my own head. I felt like a little snappy with Lennox from times today, and keep forgetting that he's just a 3-year-old dude that needs to live life and hang out. And I forget that at times, or just gets to me. And I always feel bad after. And it's crazy with him, because I think we have such a solid base, right? That he knows he's loved and he's safe, and tell that to him all the time. But no matter what, like, freak out or snap or whatever on your little guy, and then he still like comes and hugs you at the end of the night, or like before he goes to bed, and just still adores you, right? And loves you to the ends of the world. So it's one of those, no matter, I guess that's a life thing too. Like, no matter what you do, you're always just, don't beat yourself up too much on that. Like, as long as the damage isn't irreversible, I mean, he'll still be there, and he's still going to love you, and just, I'll do better next time. And as long as I just keep doing better next time, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Like, not dwelling in those mistakes you feel you meant. The mistakes you feel you made today, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, again, it wasn't like detrimental or anything like that. I should not have like just snapped on him for just being a 3-year-old kid, right? Or freaking out, or not being able to control his emotions. Because I mean, he's a 3-year-old dude that has
wanting a wetter wet wipe.
Yeah. Exactly. Can't even explain it.
Wasn't wet enough.
Yeah. Getting it wet. It's wet enough.
Oh man, we had a lot of "that's what she said" jokes in that drive.
God.
Oh my goodness. I mean, kids are amazing, right? Because of their persistence, and like, they just don't give up, right? But also in that unconditional love.
Yeah, and resilient too, right? Like, he's a resilient dude, and extremely unconditional love. But again, the groundwork's set. Like, it's not that it's like that all the time, or he definitely knows he's safe, protected, loved, right? So I think that goes a long ways too.
Yeah, well, and I think that's because, I mean, you're very conscious of that, right? I do, kind of creep on you guys having your conversations at night, and you're always telling him how loved he is. And I love that you're always telling him that there's nothing too big that you guys can't solve together, and that you can always talk about anything. And you've been telling him that since he was like a newborn baby, right?
Yeah, I really hope that gets through
come to you
at some point.
You.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I never really thought much about it. I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. But I remember like a few months back watching a Facebook video of this dad talking about how his kid, he was young, like, I can't remember if he was like 10 or 12, but somewhere in that realm. And I guess like he got a new video game, And this was all when COVID kind of started. So everyone was just kind of like figuring out their new normals and their grooves and stuff. And he somehow broke the game or something. Or was it the TV? Whatever. It was something he broke that was a little bit expensive. And then his parents said, okay, well, like, no big deal, but you have to work to save up your money to get a new one. We're not just going to buy you a new one. And then so his birthday was coming up. His birthday was only like in a few days. They went out. They had like a great day with the kid, the dad, and the grandpa.
Right.
And they were like getting ready and excited for his birthday. And then I guess the grandpa went home. The mom was gone somewhere, and the dad was just like downstairs on a call or something. And the daughter came downstairs screaming, and he ran up, and I guess like the kid had hung himself. And the sister was like freaking out, but as soon as the dad got him down and he did CPR on him, the little girl like ran out to get help, but it was too late and he didn't make it. And I guess they found out later that he had just gotten a new game or TV or whatever it was, and he had just broken it. And he felt, I mean, this was the dad's perspective, because the dad said the same thing, that he was like a completely like fun, loving, honest kid, like didn't have, you know, depression, anxiety, anything like that at that age. But what he really felt was that that kid felt like he was going to let everyone down so much, because in a kid's eyes, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But to an adult, like no one really cares about the game, obviously, when it comes to the life of your child.
Right.
So that kid was like, this is a big problem. I don't want to tell my parents. I don't want to let my parents down again, right? This was the dad's perspective after. And so after I read or watched that, what you always have been saying to Lennox really sunk in a lot deeper for me, because I was like, wow, yeah, I forget that in a child's perspective, like problems are big, even though they're not big, which actually trickles up to adults as well, because we make our problems such a big deal. Mm-hmm. But in the grand scheme of things, we're here, you know, we're majority healthy, have people in our lives who love us, even if it seems like someone doesn't love us and that's the one we're focusing on. We are loved by many other people. And there's just so much more to look at, right? A bigger picture. But that kid, like, just gut wrenching to think of what was going through his mind. So when I hear you say that kind of stuff to Lennox, I'm like, yeah, I hope he knows that too, that because we're going to fuck up as parents, right? And say the wrong thing, but I hope he never takes it to an extent of like, he can't come to us, right?
Yeah. And I don't even know where that came from for me to start saying that all the time to him. Mm-hmm. I guess it's obviously a need that I have or needed or wanted. But I deal with a lot of that at work too. And things like that. Like I've always said that and fucking manifested, so I gotta quit. But how like just a problem solver, right? That's all I do. Generally they're problems that I've caused, but then fix them and no one knows the difference, right? But yeah, I think of that all the time in a kid's eyes, and just that you're like, I don't know, growing up myself, like I would hide things from everybody just so I didn't have to deal with the repercussions of it, right? Like you fucked up or you wrecked something or whatever, right? On the farm, something didn't get done or whatever. Like I wouldn't just be open conversations about it because I knew what would happen.
What lesson did you learn in this?
Yeah. Not a lot of that happening, right? So to be able to offer that to my kid is massive, and I'm gonna keep telling him that till who knows when. Mm-hmm. But I really think that it'll pay off eventually. That hopefully that gets through to him, and that he never has to feel alone, because there's so much suicide and people harming themselves and doing all these things now when they feel alone. Mm-hmm. Like we're so connected. We're in the most connected time we've ever been in the world, but everyone feels so alone too.
Yeah, well, it's the wrong kind of connection.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, I mean, if I can give that to my kids, then that's all I feel like I won, or that's all I need to do right on this go around. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he's got you as a mom too, which is, I don't know. He's going to be okay. That guy. He's set up quite well, but at the same token, it's his own, he's on his own journey too. So like, we'll give him all the tools. We'll try everything we can. We'll learn from what seemingly that we needed in our lives when we were kids, and give that to him. And if it's still not enough, I mean, that's his journey, and so be it. But it's already starting to show that he's a resilient little dude. So I think he's going to be more than fine going on in the world.
Yeah. And I think like a really good lesson in everything you've said so far is that, you know, you're giving him what you think he needs or what you probably wanted as a child, right?
Yeah.
Or what you see as an adult in the world today. But again, just you can still hold on to that, what you didn't give him, right? But we're never going to give them everything they need. We're still going to screw things up in their eyes, right? Because we're not in their heads. We don't know what they want and what they need. I mean, obviously, we don't want to give them everything they want right now at this age, but you know what I mean, right? Like they're going to look back on their life and they could find something, no matter how hard we try to give them everything, like all the tools. And I don't mean everything as in materialistic things and sugar and candy and stuff like that. I mean everything that, like, all the love, all the experiences, all the memories, we're still going to mess it up. And so exactly what you're saying, like, so you might have snapped at him a few times today for wanting wetter wipes and crying in the truck and fighting me on it for like 10 minutes in that just high pitched cranky sound. So at the end of the day, it's like, oh my goodness. But at the same time, I mean, is he going to remember those moments, or is he going to remember the waterfall that we hiked the mountain to today and allowed him to go off on little trails as he like grows into his confident self and says, no, don't come with me. And he wants to do it himself. And we just say, oh, you're so brave and courageous. And, you know, whatever kind of things we say to him to encourage him, you know, what's he going to remember?
Yeah, totally. No. And then again, you and I anyway, for sure, just like our own worst critics, right? That I know I always feel bad about things that I should have done or did differently or anything like that. So everybody, right? You just got to stop beating yourself up or replaying things in your head over and over and over. Like, it's done. That's the past, and just carry on and do better next time. And that's what it is, right?
Yeah. Well, and then, so I was just going to say that, like, because it's Father's Day and in honor of Father's Day, I never told you this today, but I'm really proud of you and the dad that you are, because, you know what, 5, 6, 7 years ago, Lennox would have had a completely different dad. I mean, I always kind of laugh about it. We joke about it that, you know, we've been together for 16 years. So it was a long time before we even had him. But like, we could have been those people who had him in our first few years together, like our early 20s, right?
Yeah, easy.
And his life would have been so different than it was today. I mean, who knows? Maybe we would have changed quicker or grew up quicker, or who knows? But chances are probably wouldn't have.
There'd definitely be some different situations he'd find himself in, yeah.
Yeah, he would have experienced a lot of really different things. And so, I mean, obviously there's a reason our journey was meant to hold off that way. We're all on our own journeys, but I personally am so proud of you for doing the work that you've done, because now you don't carry all that baggage into your parenthood with him. I mean, we all still have our own shit that we're working through, but at least it's like at a conscious level and we can catch ourselves in it, right? And I noticed that with you, like you'll do something, but then you're like, oh yeah, right, that's not how I want to show up. Or even just to sit here tonight and say that, right? Like, oh, I was reflecting on how I showed up today. So just even having that awareness, I think, is huge. And I'm really proud of you, because I think Lennox has a really great role model and father to show him, you know, how to process and how to be with his emotions, which was kind of what we were going to talk about tonight. So that hopefully when he's, you know, us in our early 20s, in his early 20s, he doesn't have to be drunks and numb feelings and emotions. And I mean, and he might still, who knows?
Who knows, yeah.
But at the same time, at least he has more of a head start.
Yeah, and he's got that toolbox, right? And whether he chooses to use it or not is another thing, but at least he's got us for support, and that's all he needs.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, the world, when he's in his 20s, is going, I mean, it already is a different time than when we were in our 20s.
Big time.
You know, like a few years ago. But in like another 17 plus years, like who knows, right? God, the world's changed so much in 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So who knows what kind of problems he's going to be dealing with, and we may not have prepared him for that. So all we can do is the best that we can do right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what our parents did as well. So this is not by any means to like cut down our parents for not preparing us. And I mean, me just saying that statement actually kind of makes me think like, yeah, they did what they could with what they were dealing with, but also kind of, you know, how the world was at that time, and the world's a different place now too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just do like everybody, most people, right? Like you're doing the best you can with what you know or what you have. And, that's all you can ask for, really.
I was reading this post today from a therapist that I follow, and he was talking about his dad, who was an alcoholic, codependent, you know, flipped out on all of the kids, like all of this stuff. Like it was not the ideal childhood for him. But then he also shared how, you know, he has lots of really great memories growing up. But then he went on to share how, like, as an adult now, and especially as a therapist going through so much work himself, he said, I just look at my dad through completely different eyes now, because my dad did, like, there was no therapist and self-help books on every corner at that time, right?
Right.
It was survival mode. Like he had to work multiple jobs just to put food on the table for the family. Like so much different stuff going on that there wasn't really, like, not to give an excuse, but also like it was just a different time than it is for him now growing up, right?
Yeah.
And now he just became a father. And so obviously that has him reflecting a lot, but I just thought, yeah, how true. Like I always say that to my clients, like our parents, they could have found personal development. And I think some of them did for sure to a certain extent, but like there was just not like the mainstream talk of taking personal responsibility and changing your thoughts and all that kind of stuff, right? And everything. There was no processing your emotions. It was all just stuffed under the rug and kept going for generations.
Most of those people got raised by that whole baby boom, or even the war generation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With our parents or with the age of our parents, that was the mindset. So I mean, worry about your feelings, like fuck off. Like,
yeah.
we had bigger, when you're getting shot at, that then tell me something different, right? So
yeah, totally different times. So yeah, I think just compassion, right, for
that's all you can
everyone is what we need.
Yeah, big time. That's all you can do.
Okay, well, so what I was kind of had written down here to talk about was really how like being a father in this instance, because that's what we were talking about, but a parent in general, is a lot easier when you have a more connected relationship with your partner, and also when you're better able to connect with yourself and then manage your life, right?
Yeah.
Because I think you have a few little things you could throw in about, you know, when work's stressful and it's bothering you, how do you show up for Lennox?
Right. Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty bad, or was bad at it, or it affects me a lot with just being stressed about work. And I know everybody's got work stresses and things like that, but I take a lot of personal responsibility for it, good or bad. I don't know what that means, but I just wear that a lot, which a lot of people do. And it's on my mind a lot. And I feel terrible about it, because then I'm not mad, like I'm frustrated about work on a Friday afternoon, but then I got the weekend to look forward to. But then I spend all weekend stewing about work, never really taking that time off to recharge. And then Monday hits and it's like, oh, here's a whole new world of problems, and you didn't really recharge, where all week you're just hoping for Friday so that you can have a break, but you don't give yourself that break. So then you're stressed all weekend anyway. Then you're taking it out on your kids, you're taking it out on your partner, and the cycle just continues, right? And it's not like these problems at work they're not going to change. Like, I mean, they've been that way.
They're not going away.
They're not going away. They've been that way forever. And you got to have, or I have to have, a fresh mindset and come up with different angles to fix it. But I'm not going to be that person if I don't give myself that chance to recharge, or to even just be, right? Yeah. Just enjoy being.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, because when you said then you take it out on your kids or take it out on your partner, but I would say in our situation, it's not that you necessarily take it out on us, like, because I'm sure there are some people who have anger, like outbursts,
right,
and things like that. But for us, I wouldn't say you take anything out on us. It's more that like you're just not present
Right.
and connected, right? Like, and then you do maybe grab your phone more often and like kind of just numb out. And it's like, let's play games or let's go out and adventure and do something, right? But I can totally tell when your headspace is like not here. And I mean, I go there too, obviously.
Right.
But so I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit more. But and then obviously, yeah, with Lennox, we both do this. If we're stressed about anything, it is hard to be patient when you are stressed. And there could be stress in your job. There could be like, family stress, like extended family stress. There could be relationship stress. So all of these things really just compound, and those are just huge stresses on your nervous system, right? And then when like that child says one thing, you just like flip your lid or like, and then comes the guilt after and all of the things.
Yeah, and then
right?
just beating yourself up over that on top of work stuff and life stuff and everything else, and you're feeling bad about the way you treat your kid too. And it sucks. It's a terrible, terrible cycle to get stuck in.
Yeah. So, I mean, instead, and this is the great thing about being conscious of what you're feeling and what's going on, because then you know that, okay, I need to do something to shift the energy, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should talk about that a little bit, because like I think if you're listening to this, you should take what we're saying, but you have to make it unique to your life, because it might be your relationship with your partner. It might be a friend or an extended family member who stresses you out. So like there's boundaries, there's different things that you have to do. But in this instance, we're going to talk more about work and how to disconnect from that. So take this and kind of use it as like disconnecting from that person or disconnecting from a different environment or whatever. But how do you disconnect from that then so that you can be more present with your family and recharge yourself and give your nervous system that rest, so that, like you said, Monday you can go back and be more calm in the job, which then just doesn't have everything like compounding again during the week. And then you end up having a nervous breakdown and like,
well, yeah, exactly. Right. I'm pretty big believer on manifestation too. And just even how you start your day or end your day or any of that is just what you're thinking of. You're going to make that a reality regardless. Right.
You totally do.
I know. And I'm fucking terrible at it. And most days I'll wake up in the morning and not be thankful. Like when I wake up first thing in the morning, and I want to just wake up and say thank you for that first breath and being present and just being happy to be alive, because you're never guaranteed anything, right? But typically I'll wake up and just instantly play like a little 1-minute clip of all the shit that's going to happen in the day, or every worst case scenario for that day. And then then it's just stuck on repeat, and that's all and then eventually it's going to fucking manifest itself and it actually happens. Right. And then,
well, your brain goes out looking for those experiences. Right. And then
it does. Lately, it's just been like that, and it feels like I was in the Twilight Zone for the last few weeks of just a really bad movie on top of all the way the world's happening. And then this job is just like, I'm just creating every scenario. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So, I mean, but anyway, to come out of that and I've noticed it the past few days, even just, it's still in the shit big time, but trying to just brain dump everything I can into, whether it's a journal or just notepad, piece of paper, get everything out of your head that you can, so that you're not just playing all these scenarios out in your head, and you're not trying to remember everything that needs to get done. So definitely have more of like a to-do list, or just even like a storyboard for the day or anything like that, just so you can get it all on paper. And if you look at it, even if you give it an hour and then you come back and look at it, you're like, oh, okay, so it's not that bad. Or, on Friday, I do that, like Friday afternoons, I'll just brain dump everything that happened in the week, everything I need to do the following week, and then try to leave that alone over the weekend. It's kind of tough in my scenario where you're getting a lot of emails over the weekend even and things like that. So you just try to buffer that the best you can. You can't just put your head in the sand either, because then there is shit that comes up that just needs to be dealt with. But at the same token, at least if you get most of the stuff out of your head, you're not playing that whole story on top of everything else. So that's a good one. And then in my case, I'm fairly fortunate where it's like a 10-minute drive, give or take, right, to work. So you can getting there in the morning and kind of relax and give yourself that headspace. And then coming home, I try to use that 10 minutes to make sure I just leave everything outside of the house. So at least when I walk in the house, can, be present, always like being met with Lennox, which is great, and hug and kiss, and then hug and kiss you, and just be at home, be the dad, right? Not have to deal with a lot of, not just come home and just dwell on all the shit still that happened during the day, and then you don't get a break, and then you're fucked all night anyway, and then you go to work and you just feel like you're just drowning. That's what happened to me when I was depressed, is I just didn't leave anything. I just never cut anything off. I just brought everything all the time. Like, I just carried like a fucking
huge old bag.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain. I feel like Charlie Brown and that fucking stinky kid with the cloud. Like, I just had this cloud around me all the time of just shit, and just couldn't let it go, or didn't let it go. It was obviously serving me in some way, but I just brought everything with me all the time, and it was so heavy. And you being quite empathic, is just like you could feel that too, and it just weighed heavy on you, and it was just hard on the relationship, and just I wanted to be better, but it was like I knew what to do, and I had the tools at my disposal, and it was still just, I don't know, easier carrying around that cloud for some reason than it was to get out of it and just be happy, or just be, which is so fucked up to think about, right? But I don't know if that's just a human thing, or just we just love suffering. I don't know what it is, right?
Well, I think
there's comfort in it.
Do, yeah. There is definitely comfort. We feel safe in it. But at the same time, I think on a soul level, it's something you need to go through. It's a part of the journey, right? Because then you learn, like oftentimes in the lowest moments is when you learn the most about yourself. And then you get to kind of like, I have this arrow tattooed on my shoulder because I loved that philosophy of like, oftentimes before you get flung forward into something great, I mean, life is pulling you back, right? Because it's almost like this cleansing period where it's like, okay, wait, we want to bring you back. We want you to see all this shit in here that like needs to get cleaned up. So in order to clean it, you got to feel it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be with those emotions and feel them and allow them to move through you. And then now you can spring forward because you're not carrying all that heavy weight with you, right?
No, it makes sense.
Sometimes the shitty stuff has to happen, right? The messy things have to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're in them, it freaking sucks. And you're like, God, when is this ever going to end? But at the same time, if you can shift your perspective into like, okay, what do I need to learn here? Like, what is this teaching me? You'll probably move through it faster than trying to be like, how do I get the fuck out of here?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
No, I think that does make sense.
Yeah. But okay, cool. So disconnecting. I don't know if you're doing this now because I obviously don't ride with you, but I know in the past you have done like listening to different kinds of audios and stuff.
Yeah, big time. So in the morning, I'm part of Adrian Wesley, his Power on Audio group. And every morning he sends out like a 10-minute blurb on something. He's always got some topic to talk about, personal development wise and mindset wise. He's a hypnotherapist out of Vancouver, but he lives in Thailand now. And so he's always got something mindset going, and it makes you stronger. And it's listening to it every day, really something different every day, really reminds you of what's important and what to look out for and what to keep in mind. And again, we're not perfect, so I'm not going to do everything to a T, but I still, just having that in the background and not having another tool to add to the toolbox just helps. And with that, also like my Saturday men's group, that helps a lot. It's all virtual, obviously, with COVID, but just talking with a lot of men that typically it turns into like a lot of older men in those groups, and you just learn a lot from osmosis with guys, and they go through different processes, a lot of inner child work. And most of us are dealing with like, the same handful of problems, really.
Yeah.
And it just
manifesting in different ways.
Exactly. And it just carries around with these people, and it carries around with these guys. And, most of them are on their second, third marriages. And, guys had businesses that just failed, and now they're rebuilding, or they rebuilded and failed and rebuild and failed hundreds of times. And now they're on the up, and you just learn a lot of lessons through these people. And it's amazing how, again, just how resilient people are. As long as you don't let it beat you down too much. I mean, it's just, there's so much there's so much on the upswing of all these shitty lessons that you got to learn, but you can talk about them for days. You can talk about them until your ears fall off, but most things, until you live it or go through it, it's not going to really register, right?
Yeah. And I would say on that note too, that you have to, like I said, sink into going into that, because if you just, dig your way out without dealing with the stuff that's already bothering you and weighing you down, then it's just going to show up in your next marriage, right? Or your next relationship or your next business.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to say that those things can't fail because of other reasons, but I know they say that like second and third marriages, so the marriage statistics right now are like less than 50% of marriages last. And then your second and third marriage after that is even like the possibility of staying together is even less.
Right.
And I always wonder, well, is that because, you're just like, disposing of it, right? Like
You are. Yeah, you're not solving anything.
Yeah.
At all.
So this is why in my coaching, I just like, I'm so passionate about bringing, like the woman is the one I'm working with, right? But bringing up all of this stuff and working through it and discovering who you are and what you want. And then if you and your partner, like if he's shifting as well, but at least in that, you tried. And if it's done, it's done. Right.
Right.
Or you can't control him. So if he's out but you're built yourself up, at least you can move on to another relationship and be happy and not attract the same type of person. But maybe something else that you need to learn about yourself.
You never know, yeah.
Or be happier, right? Or if you do stay with that partner, at least you guys get to like grow and evolve like we did, right? Into a completely different future than you could have imagined when you were in all that other shit before, hanging on to that baggage, as you say, right?
Right.
So I just thought about that when you were saying about like second and third marriages, like might as well just go deep dive into the shit now. Otherwise you're going to just carry it along for like, and it might even be subconsciously, right? Like, it's not like you feel like when you were depressed for that year and a bit.
Yeah.
And like weighed down, but yet that stuff is still following you. So it will come up in the marriages or come up in the business.
Yeah, absolutely will.
Right?
Yeah. You're not going to run from problems that no matter what you do, you're still going to have to face them at some point.
Yeah. And when you were talking about the driving and just listening to like the daily motivation things and stuff, I think that stuff is so important to put audios on, or like, whether it's YouTube videos that are inspirational or motivational or audio books, because our thoughts, like we have thought our thoughts so many times throughout our whole life that they're just happening. Like we're not even in control of them. They're just happening. And then they're creating a feeling. And then we feel that feeling. And then we go out and live that feeling, right? We attract to us what mirrors that feeling.
Yeah.
And so in order to stop these loops that we just spiral down, we need to do something that's different. And so even listening to a 10-minute audio can be enough to just, even for that 10 minutes, get you thinking about something else, right?
Right.
And then you might go back to your stinking thinking, but at least that was 10 minutes out. And then maybe next time it's 11 minutes out.
Yeah, that's a
then
really good way.
Later you find yourself almost having positive thoughts without listening to an audio.
Right.
Or being able to shift your own mindset, right?
Oh, big time. And that's how I got started in this whole thing, was just listening to YouTube videos and starting that way. Absolutely.
And it's the same as working with a coach or a mentor of any sort as well, because same thing, like we're not here to tell you what to do. It's just like, I'm here to help you see a different perspective, right? And with my clients too, I'm like, I believe in you until you can believe in yourself.
Right.
But it's really about just taking you out of this like tunnel vision that you're living in, or like these one colored glasses, right? And we just can like flip them and then see things from a different perspective. And then it just like opens up a whole different world. But I feel like that's what audios and stuff do as well, right? To shift that energy.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add on that?
Not really. I mean, I say it all the time. It's just to find somebody or something to go with. You're never alone, no matter what. I mean, same what I tell Lennox, right? There's people out there. There's mentors out there. There's mentors that you don't even have to personally know. You can just watch their videos and try to learn anything you can off of people. And no matter what you're going through or what you feel, like someone else has been there, someone else has done it. There's odds are there's books on exactly what you're going through, right? So like I say to Lennox all the time, you're not alone in anything, and there's no problem too big that we can't solve. Like
Yeah.
no matter what, we'll figure it out. Like I just don't ever want anyone to end up like that kid you're telling the story with the video games and stuff. Like, I mean, I get where he's coming from in his head. He probably thought that was the worst thing ever, and
end of the world,
he could
literally.
not literally, right? And he just could not come out of that. But there's fucking nothing he can't come out of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really hope people know that. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah. And I mean, some people are going to learn or connect in different ways, right? So for one person and for you, like at that time, it was not hiring a coach. For me, it was hiring a coach. But for you, it was listening to audios, and you kind of worked at your own pace, and you worked out a lot then too. So that really moves emotion and energy through your body a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So you found your outlet through kind of your own way, but also you had your CrossFit community. So it's not like you were actively talking about, you know, what was going on for you, but you just had, again, a new environment of people, because also like your environment was toxic, right? Like it was, and I'm not saying the people necessarily are, like a lot of those people are still in our life, but just at that time, like there was a lot of drinking, and it's all the same mindsets and, you know, the same routines and rhythms going on and cycles going on all the time, right?
Yeah.
So in order to change as well, you have to shift who you're hanging out with. And so sometimes that's hard when that is like your job, and maybe your friends are at your job, or maybe you live in a small town and you don't really have a lot of option to start hanging out with other people, but you still have lots of options, because those options are online, working out.
I'm just picking different habits, right? That's where I really got into guns and got into motorbikes and things like that. And just, I guess that's not exactly the greatest combination either, but
so Mike joined a gang.
Yeah. It's a great group of guys. Like, we're just motorcycle enthusiasts. But yeah, no, exactly. Right. You gotta switch it up. You gotta change. You gotta just fucking, what is it? Like make a glitch in the matrix, really. And just, it's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I gotta do. I gotta do that. Like now, even like I say, the last couple of weeks, it just felt like I'm in a bad episode of Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like everything negative that I'm manifesting is just showing up. Like, holy fuck, I can't believe it's just like, it's like pushing rope right now. Anything I try to do. So, but I know the tools, I know what I have to do, and I can do it. Right. So, it's big steps.
And also, so I had on our list too, was, you know, to be able to process your feelings, which I think happens through working out and just doing hobbies. Like following your passion helps you process emotions, right? It helps with your connection to your higher self.
Everything. I know laying on the couch eating chips all night does not fucking work. So
that does not feel good.
That does not taste good. It tastes good, but does not feel good, look good, anything, right?
Yeah, so just that negative spiral. So obviously, you know, picking more empowering,
big time. Yeah.
Habits, choices, people, all that stuff. On ending, what I was going to say, and that is, you know, if you are a person who does benefit more from being with people, there are groups. There's free men's groups. There's people you can hire, like coaches, to help mentor you and fast track in a way. Like, I don't believe anyone should really fast track their journey, because we all have lessons to learn.
You can't, no matter how much you try.
And that's true, right?
You win the lottery and you're still going to end up broke. All that stuff, right? Yeah.
But at the same time, if you have a mentor who can like show you the way, you might find things that are going to help you move through those lessons in a safer way, that it'll happen faster because you're kind of just moving through it and you feel safe, versus like getting scared, coming back, moving through, getting scared, coming back.
Yeah. And just feeling like a free fall, not really having it. Well, you have zero plan. You're just kind of going with the flow, which sounds great, but when you're going with the flow, you have zero direction and you're just bouncing around from problem to problem. Just does not work.
Yeah. But if you work with someone too, and you just like focus on one area, right? And then you do actually get to focus on that and then move through it and then move on to the next thing, instead of, just like you said, ping balling.
That's all it is. Right? Yeah. And it just feels like they're just hopeless. Yeah.
And a lot of it too is building up confidence, because I mean, holding on to shit, for a long time, that's a real downer on the confidence level.
It just beats you up, right? 100%. You
feel worthless and feel like everyone else must see that and you're a fraud, right?
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So really, yeah. So building yourself up, whatever that looks like for you, whether you're a visual learner or, you know, an audio or being with people or being alone, like whatever, there's options for you to start creating and shifting. But then the other thing I had written down here was like being able to communicate. And for us now in this part of, you know, you kind of shifting through this thing with work.
Right.
Is okay because we have each other and we can communicate really well, right? Like I can communicate, well, honey, what is up? Because I know like you're not present with us. I know that your energy is off, something's up. Whereas maybe in the past I said that to you, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like you get guarded, egotistical, right? Whereas now, you know, like it's not like I'm coming at you to be a cow. It's like, what's up? Like I'm here. And we know we can trust each other, and we've worked through a lot of communication stuff, and we can share our emotions and our feelings with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also I'm not like hard on you on top of work being hard on you, right?
No, it's it's taking a lot to get there, but now we know dynamics of it and how we got to support each other.
Yeah.
That I have that support. Yeah.
But again, that's all baby steps. Like we didn't just get here overnight.
No,
like
not
it's
at
a
all.
dance, right? It's moving forward and it's moving back, but it's learning, and it's kind of learning the steps of a new dance. So it's like we had to learn how to communicate. We had to learn what was not working for us for communicating, right? But I do feel like we are in this great place now in that way. So I think communication with your partner is huge. But again, you have to start discovering what that is and what that looks like for you. Right?
Yeah.
And I do have tips for that. Actually, I'm working on a free little gift to be able to just download from my website. It's not there yet, but that will be on there this week, likely. It just feminine, masculine kind of aspects. So like how a man communicates, more so how a woman communicates, and then how to bring those together to actually have a conversation that will get you somewhere instead of putting up guards, you know, getting offended and then getting nowhere or, you know, getting further.
You're going even further away or further down the rabbit hole. Yeah, exactly.
And I always tell my clients, like, who taught you how to communicate?
Right.
No one really, right?
No,
like you just what you witnessed, right?
Yeah.
So women communicate differently than men generally, and so that's what the handbook will guide you on, and that'll be on my website soon. But I wanted to just share quickly. I think we're almost kind of done, but more of our woo-woo side, which is this weekend we did smudging. Yeah.
Well, it is Aboriginal Day today too.
And we did learn it's Aboriginal Day today, yeah. And Mike is Aboriginal. So, and this is actually funny. I did want to share this story. I didn't know if I would share it, but it was something I was thinking about as I did it, because so when I would talk about smudging in the past, I feel like most people are like, what? Like, that's weird. Like most of the people in my life, like, why would you do that? Or like, you're off your rocker. Are you a witch? Like weird things, right? But today as I was doing it, or yesterday as I was doing it, I was really thinking about the culture of where that comes from, right? And then like a few weeks back, or maybe this was a few months back already, remember when I was like going down that rabbit hole of the residential schools?
Right.
And I knew about the residential schools, but I actually like went and started reading articles on them and different things. And literally it broke my heart when I started reading about what happened. And yeah, there was physical abuse, there was sexual abuse, there was emotional abuse, but what
straight up killing.
Yeah. And all of that, like, obviously broke my heart. But what actually surprised me that broke my heart even deeper was that these kids were like taken from their homes. These Aboriginal kids were taken from their homes. And then the idea was to like rip them of all of their culture. So like they were used to having long hair and wearing like, I don't want to sound ignorant, but I don't know what the
just tradition, just like their traditional clothes. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of it was taken away. Hair was chopped off. Like they just lost
killed
their
the
identities,
language.
right? Yeah. And then they were forced to speak English. They were forced to learn subjects in English, a language that they didn't even speak as their first language.
And get fucking Catholic beat into them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a religion, I guess.
And for some reason, like, I don't know, like, that's what really broke my heart. Like, obviously, all those other things are terrible as well. But for some reason, it was just like taking away like your heritage, right? Like, this is getting stripped from you so that you fit into the new westernized world. And it's kind of like, well, F you. Like,
Well, no, you see that all the
you came
time.
here, right?
Yeah, you see it all the time. Like I've just seen, I didn't even tell you that story. There's a fucking guy here. I don't know. Sometime during the week, he's in Walmart and he's fucking dressed up pretty good. Good looking guy. He was wearing all black. He had like a black jacket on and big old dirty black cowboy boots. But he's a native guy and he had a feather in his hair hanging out or hanging down. And I don't know where the hell he just came from or what the fuck he was doing. But everybody just like staring at him like he had fucking three eyes. And
Right.
it's like, yeah, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, that's him. Like, that's his heritage and that's who he should be, right? And everyone else is allowed to fucking walk around with whatever else and do all these things. But yeah, you see an Indian do it and everyone just,
Yeah.
it's wild. I don't know.
And I feel like I'm allowed to say this because like I'm European, right? Like I don't think I have any native in my bloodlines, maybe a little bit in one side of the family, but like we all came from Europe. So
Right.
it like disgusted me and appalled me when I was reading all of that stuff because now I'm in a relationship with you and you're obviously native and your family went through this stuff and so now this is like I am responsible because this is the generational trauma. This is the generational stuff. And now I have a son. I mean, I'm married to someone who has this in their generational, like in their DNA. And now I have a son who has this in his DNA.
Right.
And I'm like appalled by my ancestors. Like I know it wasn't my parents and my grandparents, but like, you know, down the line. And I'm just like, we're disgusting. Like we're disgusting as human beings.
It is. And it's so fucked up because or not you, but like you think you're right. Like most people, like, I mean, there is some evil in the world, I'm sure, but most people generally, no matter what side of whatever coin you're on, you think you're right.
Yeah.
So like they thought they were right by doing this to civilize all these savages.
Yeah.
Like that's how they looked at it in their eyes and they thought they were doing the right thing, which is fucking crazy.
Right.
But
and
you don't see it until after.
yeah. After the disaster it's
Yeah,
created.
until it's in. Yeah.
And that's what we refer to a lot when we're talking about tribes and like the hunting, gathering, like all that stuff. But the reason that we're talking about this right now on this Father's Day one is because we're talking about shifting energy and the smudging. So when I was thinking about smudging yesterday, I was like, why is this so weird for people? But literally when I smudge, like I go through to remove any
Just energies,
energy,
right? Yeah.
any stuck,
Negative.
stagnant energy, any energy that's not serving us. Because energy gets left behind everywhere. So whoever lived here before, like, yeah, maybe spirits and stuff. I don't really get into that. For me, it's the energy. Like, just move the energy. Like, and then I call in like the energy we want, like the peaceful, loving, harmonious, abundant, loving energy, right?
Yeah.
But I can see where there's a reason when people come over to take over your land, they would not want you to have that power.
Right.
And it is really fucking powerful, but it got lost over the generations, right? And that's only one aspect of it, the smudging. Like the elder natives like would have like the knowledge that they had, right? And the healing abilities and the connection that they had that's all lost in the culture now is so sad.
Yep. Oh yeah, big time.
And like I don't know how, like I guess it could come back because like I feel more and more people coming to Earth are like kind of different beings, but that culture necessarily is like gone because it was never.
No, and they're trying to bring just trying to bring it back, but every time it's like the dance you're talking about, it's like 2 steps forward and it feels like 2 steps back, almost like we keep going back to the same place, not even making progress in a lot of ways because just like black people, but I mean with like there's so much like native on native crime even or like violence and things like that, right? And just same with the black people, there's so much black on black violence and it's fucking like this beautiful plan that just played itself out on like
so complex
would get all these fucking people to just destroy themselves and destroy their own cultures and and
Fight against each
and
other.
fight against each other when they should be fucking teaming up against each other, right? Like
with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, with each other. Like it's just so it's so painful. Like it's tough to see from the outside, right? But when you're in it, and you just think that this is what life is. And if you're in those, like if you're in a gang or whatever it is, it's like, holy shit, this is all I like, this is what I got. I gotta protect my bros, I gotta protect these people. And you're just adding to the machine that's just destroying your culture and destroying your life. It sucks. Like in Canada, we've been reading a lot of books about this kind of stuff. And like in Canada, just like it is in the States with black people in Canada, it's like the Aboriginal population in prisons is just fucking astronomical. And trying to figure out what the problems are, but there's just no help on the back end, or like no help on the front end of it, right? You're giving these kids no options. But again, it was all part of this, like what it created with these tearing down a lot of families, tearing down, like with the residential schools, it just destroyed people to the degree of then they're not fit parents, right? Like, I mean, by no
to the alcohol.
And by that's not their fault by any means. It just that's what it turned out to be, and then you now are seeing, like, you see all those repercussions of that. It's fucking heartbreaking, but there's not a lot of people, or not a lot of to try to bring that up. Like, I mean, there's people get mad and do these rallies and protests and things like that, but I mean, you got to start doing some real tangible things, and just working on people, and like even your coaching and things like that. Like at least you're making an impact on people that way, right? And you hear some good stories, but I mean, still for the majority of it, everyone just turning to negativity and violence still.
More hate, right?
That's all it is. And like hate, they're just trying to fight hate with hate, but you can't. Like it's just going to create more hate. Like it sucks.
Well, and you know what I think and I see is like we do still have some elders, right? Like, the generations, I think a lot of them are past now that have that wisdom, but I think doing whatever we can to learn something to bring it back it's such a small step, but at the same time, it's better than nothing.
No,
right?
just
and it will
impact a few lives, and it just, like you say, keep compounding that.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like with the smudging. So again, I'm going to bring it back to the smudging because we're talking about shifting energy, right? So all last week I was like, we need to do some energy clearing because things just were in this spiral, right?
Bad movie,
you were attracting all these things. So we need to like cut your cords. We need to shift the energy, right? Shift our thoughts, shift everything. And so that's what I did. Saturday morning, totally cleaned the house, because for me to clear the energy of the house, I like to clean the house because it's like welcoming in new guests, right? So if someone was coming over, I would clean my house. So I cleaned the house, and then we did the smudging. And so kind of tying this back into kids as well. And the reason we're talking about this is I used to always do it when Lennox was either gone to bed, or like get you to take him out, or like if he was gone to the babysitter, I would quickly do it.
Right.
Because he was young enough that, like, for one, I didn't really want him breathing in that much when he was young. But on the other hand, too, like, I knew he'd want to try it, and he'd want to hold it, and he'd want to do it. And then it just gets frustrating with like a little toddler. Yeah. Then we burn something, or burn him, or it just turns into a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, ugh. But this Saturday, I got him to do it with me. And like, seriously, my heart melted the way he watched me. Like, because when I was going around the house, right, and I was like, just like wafting the smudge throughout everywhere. We went through the whole house, but I always speak out loud. So I'm like speaking of what we're cleansing and clearing, and then what we're like calling in, and what energy we're bringing into the house and creating space for. And his eyes, like the way he was watching me, like he was mesmerized. He like was shadowing me all around like the wall. And then after he kind of realized what we were doing, he was like, "Mom, do here." And then he'd like open the closet and he was like, "Do here." And then after a few rooms, he was like, "I try." So I'm like, oh, I knew this moment would come. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, you do it. So then at the end, we let him do it, right? And we just kind of let him go. And he ended up going to his bed, and he did like way more on his bed. And he's been sleeping terribly. So it was really cool to see, like, children are so guided and they're so connected. But we take that away from them because of what we're programmed in society, right? So
right.
it just really like reminded me to be like, no, let him teach me really, because he
Oh yeah,
knows
and it
more,
was the cutest
right?
little thing, like watching him. He's holding it nice and just like wafting it, and
Yeah, with his hand. We need to get him a feather so he can do it. He's actually really attracted to feathers when we're out and about. But I'm always like, oh, that came from a dead bird. It probably has something. But anyways, it was just like so cute. And we finished it off. The energy in the house felt way different. Like we even did each other, right? Like I was like, we need to definitely smudge dad. And then I did it to Lennox and he held his hands out. Then he like shifted and we did it to him. And then he's like, Mom, I do you. So like he held it while you were doing it with him. And I mean, it was like a funny movie. Cause I'm like, okay, you need to move it because it's like just in my face. I'm like, I'm joking.
it was, but yeah, it's awesome, right?
But it
Yeah.
was just so cool to let him do it. And that's what I mean by like bringing this stuff back and teaching our children, because like here's my conspiracy mind of like whoever is at the controlling realm of everything doesn't want us to know our power,
Yeah.
our capability, right? And those elders, those native elders, they had that connection and they knew that power. And there's a reason, I believe, that was wiped out. And so bringing this kind of stuff back, I mean, it's obviously not at the level of what the elders and certain people would know and would be doing, but at least it's a start of bringing it back, right? And doing it in our own homes and using those kinds of tools to shift our energy and to shift ourselves and then to teach our children. And this is the cool part of it, is that today, Lennox, how did that start? Oh yeah, sorry. We were playing, he fell, he hurt his arm, and then he was like, I need a hug. So we hugged.
Yeah.
But then he's like, Mom, I rub your back. So he was rubbing my back. And he's like, is your back better? And I was like, yeah, my back's better. And he was like, because of me? And I said, yeah, it was because of you. And then he like stood up and he said, Mom, we're healers, because we were talking about healing in the aspect of like our smudging and just like everything, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, I go tell Dad. So then he like ran into the room and told Mike that my back doesn't hurt anymore because he was rubbing it. And then he said, we're healers. But he didn't say just me and him. He was like, Mom and Dad and me. And so I just think that's like adorable, because we are all healers. It's not saved for the special people. Like
No, God,
everyone
no.
has the capabilities. We all have the capability to heal ourselves and to heal each other when we finally understand how powerful we are, and then do the things we need to do to shift our energy through our food, through our water, through our activities, through our mindset, through the people we surround ourselves with, through the thoughts we think, to, you know, the activities we do, I guess, like the purpose and the passion that we go after, right?
Yeah.
That's how we raise vibrations. That's how we heal ourselves and love ourselves on a deeper level. And that's how I think we heal the planet and heal the racism and heal all of the division in the world.
Oh, massively, right? And it's just a fucking terrible design too, right? Like most Aboriginal people, most Black people, like are you know, eating terribly, fucking drinking pop, eating chips, fucking fast food.
We're guilty of that.
Everybody is, right? But I mean, it's like everything's geared towards that, and it just like keeps you in a negative space, keeps you low vibing, and then it's just like you're never gonna rise up, you're never gonna come out of that, right?
Yeah.
It sucks.
So you have to make small steps.
You really do, yeah.
Right? And you have to be very conscious of that, because it's so geared towards kids too. Like there's a reason that the checkout aisles have all of the shit toys, all of the shit food at their eye level. And those freaking little buggers are so persistent that they will fight you on it until parents are impatient and annoyed, and they just say, right? Just put it in the cart.
Yeah.
And I've been there.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
Fine, have it. I'm not arguing with you or having a tantrum, right?
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I wanted to say, just on the notes of children and communication and shifting our energy, kind of, I guess, wrapping this up, is doing it in front of them, because they're watching you. And so if you need to have a conversation with your partner, like do it in front of your kids. Obviously, there's certain things you don't talk about in front of your kids, and argue about, you know, or fight unfairly in front of. I mean, people do, but
yeah.
But have constructive conversations. Let your kids see you settle an argument, or, you know, settle something going on with your feelings, right? Like dad hurt mom's feelings, mom hurt dad's feelings. Like, let's talk about it, and let's let them see that reconnection happen. Same with this energy stuff. Like, let's let them see what's going on. Let's let them like practice with us and do it with us. Let them see dad go off in the office and be on his men's group call. Let them see mom go out with her girlfriends on a walk or like a girls' night to reconnect, right? Like, and dad too. Like, I'm not obviously saying dads can't do that, but just different examples of showing our kids and giving them these tools, and also kind of just like baselines of, you know, what's normal, what can be normal. And then they take that into their adult life, right?
Yep, absolutely. That's where that's what parenthood is. That's what Father's Day, that's what everything is, right? Like, you just make that next generation try to make it better, or try to give them the tools that you have and the tools that you didn't have, and learn together, right?
And I think too, an important thing to touch on, like, I didn't say it specifically in what I just said, so I want to say, like, even when you snap, but then after you realize you snapped and that you're sorry you snapped, having that conversation. I mean, even if the kid's 1 or 2 or 3 or 25 or 60, like, just actually owning your feelings and being like, sorry, I'm feeling this today. I'm stressed at work, and that was not fair for me to do that to you. And I'm really sorry. Can you forgive me? Right? Like, I want to do better. I'm going to try better for next time. And then actually do try better.
Yep.
But I think them learning that it's okay to fuck up, and we all make mistakes, we're not perfect, is so imperative. And then having that reconnection time, right?
Yep. Big time.
And
absolutely
getting on their level. And it's the same in relationship. Like, if you fucked up with your partner, get over yourself and apologize. Yeah. Because no one's perfect. We're all messing up all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes things come out of your mouth before you even realize what you just said. And you're like, God. So apologize, take it back, right? Like, you're not expected to be perfect, and then reconnect, move on, move forward.
No, that's great. Well, let's leave it at that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
Follow Laura LaRocque on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow LaRocque Life. We're going to get better at actually sharing more and more there, but again, baby steps. So just follow me at Laura LaRocque on Instagram and Facebook. You will definitely see a lot more stuff. And you can check out my website too, www.lauralarocque.com. We do have our podcast there too, so you can always just send people there. And then there's links to like iTunes, Shopify, Spotify. I mean, not Shopify. I'm thinking about products.
Yep.
And I don't remember.
There's like Stitcher, everything. Yeah.
Anywhere that you want to listen to the podcast, you can do it there. And then I do have my love mugs on my website too. So I'm going to do a giveaway for those in the next week or two as well. But it's going to be a fun, unique kind of giveaway. So
perfect.
That is all. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you. And I love everyone that was listening. And thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Love you.